Hello, all. Welcome to Astronomy Delight Series 12. On behalf of Sky Foundation, EduSTEM Initiative, and all the WIPNET clubs, that is SkyAC, Ignited Minds, and Wimilet Science Club, I would like to welcome you all today. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Shweta Srivastav, and I am the coordinator of Women Led Science Club. Before I start, I would like to share a quick information about today's topic, the shared heritage of astronomy and humankind in a time lapse, part 2. Our understanding of archaeoastronomy sites worldwide is not only based on rich archaeological record and texts that go back thousands of years, but also on a living tradition that is connected to the past. Interestingly, the cultural diversity and a tangled history of interaction with neighboring regions make the story complex. The text reveal to us the cosmological ideas that lay behind astronomical sites in the historical period. Astronomical observatories will part of different complexes. We bring to you a historical traversal of how the quest of understanding cosmos developed in prehistoric, ancient, and medieval times, and presenting before you a glimpse of archaeoastronomy. We will also bring to you the demonstration of Eratosthenes' experiment to estimate the size of Earth, a nationwide activity popularized by Vigyan Prasad tomorrow, and how a citizen can be a part of that activity and become a citizen scientist. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed speaker of the day, none other than Mr. Amritanshu Vajpayee, the coordinator of Ignited Minds, an amateur astronomer and astrophotographer, scholar in the field of astronomy. Let's welcome Mr. Vajpayee. We will turn the time over to you, sir.
So, good evening, India. And this is your old known face, Amritanshu Vajpayee, till yesterday as a host and today as a speaker. And thanks a lot for your kind words, Shweta. And thanks all the kind audiences who have joined us, in spite of the fact that the Prime Minister of India is going to address the nation within a short span of time. So, you have spared your important time for all of us. So, I thank really on behalf of all the coordinating institutions and all those people who have given me this golden opportunity. मैं सभी लोगों की तरफ से आप सभी का धन्यवाद देता हूं और बिना समय गंवाए जो है मैं आज के अपने प्रेजेंटेशन को आपसे शुरू करने जा रहा हूं और उससे पहले मैं एक छोटी सी आपसे विनती करूंगा और निवेदन करूंगा और कुछ दो बातें मैं आपके सामने रखूंगा कि एक वो आइकॉन है मेरे नाम से अमृतांशु वाजपेयी के नाम से जिसपे मैं आपको बोलता हुआ दिख रहा हूं और साथ ही में एक दूसरा आइकॉन और है कि जिसपे हमेशा की तरह एक प्रेजेंटिंग स्क्रीन के नाम से एरो अपवर्ड के नाम से आपको दिखाई दे रही होगी। तो आप सभी से मेरा निवेदन है कि कृपया प्रेजेंटिंग स्क्रीन वाले आइकॉन पर जाएं और उसको पिन अप करें। काइंडली गो टू दैट प्रेजेंटिंग स्क्रीन आइकॉन विद एन एरो अपवर्ड्स सो दैट यू कैन हियर मी without any in a hassle free manner and at the same time enjoy the presentation also, and then we can move on in a swift manner. So with these words I shall be keeping my video off and only audio on because as we all know there are a few limitations of technology also. So I would try my level best to make this session as interesting as possible as a live session, such that I shall try to make you feel that I am standing in front of you and we are having a one-to-one chat. Thanks a lot. With these words I am just going to begin. So as we all know that this is the today's talk is based really on the shared heritage of astronomy and humankind in a time lapse. And as a matter of fact, that this is the part 2. And before I begin, I would just like to, for the sake of the audiences, because I had got a feedback from 2 or 3 people that they just wanted me to rewind what I had taken up as you can say in the first part of the talk. तो पहली बार में जो मैंने चीजें प्रेजेंट की थी तो उनको मैं 1 मिनट के अंदर अपने स्लाइड्स के मैंने उनमें से कुछ स्लाइड्स अपने इस प्रेजेंटेशन में जोड़ी हैं. आई हैव एडेड अ फ्यू स्लाइड्स of the last time, and I would just quickly rewind you through what we had taken about. Last time we had, you can say, we had seen the differences between the archaeoastronomy and ethnoastronomy, and we had focused basically on archaeoastronomy, and then the classical ancient medieval world and prehistoric Harappan period, Mesopotamian and the indigenous astronomy and all. These were covered basically in the first part of the talk. And in that basic first part, these were a few things that we had seen through the navigation temple of Hawaii Islands, and then these Lascaux caves of France and Stonehenge of that Poland stone circles, then Boca Portuales of Mexico, Teguana of Puerto Rico, Chanquilo of Peru, and the center of Chile. And these were a few important star ceilings that we had gone through at Navajo of USA, Atituruga, French Polynesia. And yes, this was the very important of from Australia, Woody Young, and so and some places from the Oriental world of China also, Taosi Observatory and Dangfeng Observatory. And then this was the only piece which gives you, I suppose, if you remember, an information about days, months, year, and even weeks, because of the construction of the number of walls that number of bricks that are used in the construction of the walls of this Khamsogent Observatory of Republic of Korea. And yes, mummy returns, the tomb of Cinnamon of Western Thebes in Egypt, and not to forget the science behind the solstice and the Heliopolis and all that's related to the pyramids of Giza, and yes, the Acropolis of Altari. And the oldest of the sites, that is Orbitology Nemetzi Park. Nemetzi means the national park, which is in Hungary, a nice view. And this was the first and the oldest available picture of the constellations of the sky from the books of the shepherds that we have with us in the present day world. And yes, then I ended with this Royal Observatory of Greenwich as I came to the medieval times and took you to the Indian perspective of Udaygiri, Hanam Sagar, Brahmagiri, and these are a few things, Jantar Mantar. And then I took what the reason behind this as the measure objects, and I have removed the rest of the slides. So without wasting any time, I am going to take you forward from the ancient to the medieval and focusing on the Renaissance era. And this is the first object that actually we are going to discuss. ये पहली चीज है जिसको आज हम बात करने वाले हैं, the Tower of Winds of Greece. You can see three different pictures. जो पहली picture, the first picture that you can see on the left hand side is really the horologion of Androcaitis on the north side of the Athenian Acropolis, which is, you can say, situated near Athens city. The second, the middle picture is the southwestern and the northern view of the Tower of Winds. And the right picture, the rightmost picture, जो सबसे सीधे हाथ पे आपकी picture है, it is the southeastern view of the Tower of Winds. Now, this is a pictorial representation. Now, what actually this picture signifies? एक तीन building है, एक building के तीन view हैं. The three views of a building specifies what? Only enjoyment? No, they have got an astronomical perspective on their own. Now you see, there are a few engraved lines. Up, go to there are a few markings which I have done, 1, 2, 3 in the middle picture and 4, 5, 6 in the rightmost picture. तो आप अगर इन मार्किंग्स को ध्यान से जूम इन अपनी स्क्रीन पे करके देखें, बिकॉज गूगल मीट अलाउज यू टू जूम इन योर स्क्रीन. तो गूगल मीट जो है वो आपको अपनी स्क्रीन पे जूम करने का ऑप्शन देती है, आप अपने हाथों के टच से इसको जूम कर सकते हैं. तो यू विल बी सीइंग 6 markings, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. They actually are the engraved lines of 8 sides. And now this is the more zoom in picture. So there is a gnomon and shadow of the gnomon, winter solstice curve and all. So the upper part, actually, it represents the 8 sides. And these lines are the hour lines and the day lines that have been used to determine the time of day and year from the shadow created by the gnomon on the dial plate. And the original gnomon and the dial plates, I would like to inform you, have disappeared. But the holes where the gnomons were placed, you can see on the bottom, there is a hole, there is a picture which consists of a few holes. So these are the holes over which the gnomons used to be placed, and where people used to do the experiments like the zero shadow day and all in the ancient times. I am not talking about 100 AD or 1000 AD or 2000 AD. I am talking about 400 BC or 500 BC in fact. सो आप सोचिए कि ईसा से 500 वर्ष पूर्व भी एक टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसी थी कि जो कि नोमोन से हम एक्सपेरिमेंट किया करते थे. लास्ट टाइम वी हैड डिस्कशंस रिगार्डिंग एरातोस्थेनेस and other mathematicians, Pythagoras and all. So they used this as a temple of their study. ये उनकी कह लीजिए शिक्षण पद्धति का एक मंदिर था जहां से जो है वो अपनी पढ़ाई को जारी रखते थे. And I have tried my level best with the help of my friends who have taken this picture from Greece to zoom into the internal structure of this and see. You can see the you can see the sundials, the deities, and hence the astronomical use of the monuments, while the time being the elements of the Greek culture. ग्रीक कल्चर में समय जो है वो वहां के देवताओं को परिलक्षित करता है. इट रिप्रेजेंट्स द गॉड्स. So the sundials were used in the ancient Greek world for measuring time intervals, for determining the seasons of the year, and in fact it was used as a calendar. So there were different uses of this very important, you can say, monument, and which has withstood the tides of time. Now moving to this second important, ये एक छोटी सी डिस्क है, और you can say there are two parallel discs. And but what is the importance actually of these two discs? The Nebra sky disk of Germany. Now, as the name goes, sky and disk. Sky also appears to you like a disk. So if you are guessing, yes, your guess is almost perfect that this is a disk that represents the sky. But you know how old it is. It belongs to the Bronze Age, 1600 BC. And the top left, a greenish picture which you can see of that is a disc type structure. It is the first and the original Nebra disc, which is on exhibition. If you go to visit the State Museum of Prehistory in German state of Saxony, then you will be able to see it. After lockdown, perhaps you may try going to Germany. And so this is the actual Nebra disc. And do you know how this disc was discovered? It was found during an illegal excavation by treasure hunters. दो चोर चोरी कर रहे थे, और उस चोरी में जो है ये एक पुरातन काल की डिस्क जो है हमको प्राप्त हुई, और उसने ऐसी जानकारियां हम सभी के सामने रखी कि जिसने हम सभी को चमत्कृत कर दिया वो उन अविस्मरणीय जानकारियों से. The disc, when the radiocarbon dating went, it went back to 1600 BC, early Bronze Age. And not only the disc, but swords and all the other things were discovered. And you can see on the right, that is top right, there is the spacing of the spots on the Nebra disc with the help of X-ray. When the diagram was taken, so you can see a moon-like structure, a sun-like structure, and there are a few. What are they? There are a few stars or constellations as they were visible from that area. And I am very much sorry that I used the sun. Actually, it is the moon. And then on the bottom right, now come down. You can see actually when I am removing this moon-like structures, full moon and all those things, the only stars remain. And do you know what they represent? They are actually the spacing of Pleiades. ये प्लेडीज क्लस्टर की स्पेसिंग है, और आपको अगर किसी ने नाइट स्काई को अच्छे से ऑब्जर्व किया है, then you will be really able to identify the Pleiades. And the bottom left, it is the Skidi-Pauni star chart. Actually, the one of the oldest of the star charts that are available on the papyrus and all, with a tinge of leather that has been included. And this again, do you know where to find it? Then you have to go to another country, Field Museum of Natural History, Chicago. So the disc belongs to Germany, but it was smuggled to Chicago. So it rests in the Museum of Chicago. Now, so what is actually the importance? So I just wanted to bring in front of you that 3600 years ago, the Pleiades cluster actually lay close to the vernal equinox, a point in the sky where the sun crosses the celestial equator from the southern to the northern hemisphere. And with the help of this disk, we can easily identify as a matter of fact the real time movement of the stars. तो हमारे पूर्वज, the ancestors of us, they not only observed, ना केवल उन्होंने ऑब्जर्व किया, बल्कि एक ऐसी लीगेसी हमारे लिए छोड़ के गए आज के लोगों के लिए कि एक हम आने वाले लोगों के लिए कि हम उन डिस्कवरीज को यूज कर सकें. We can use their observations, and we can, with the help of those observational skills, we can build our theories. And yes, we are building upon them. So now moving towards another. Now this is the third and one of the most important pedestals of astronomy, the Strasbourg Cathedral of France. And you can see on the above picture, there is something unique which I wanted to throw in front of you at a glance. This is actually somewhat belongs to the Renaissance, or in which Hindi we call Renaissance. So actually the real pronunciation is Renaissance. So जो उनका पुनरावृत्ति क्रांतिकारियों का युग था यूरोप में, जो कि सन 1400 ईस्वी से लेकर के 1800 ईस्वी 1700 ईस्वी के बीच में गिना जाता है. 1300 ईस्वी से 1700 के बीच में। तो ये उससे पहले और उसके बीच की कलाकृतियां हैं। दीज ऑल बिलोंग टू दैट एज ऑफ रेनेसां। सो zoom into the first picture and you see four portraits, and this I think is the first real portrayal. You know what? Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. And you see the order. In May, you see Gemini. In June, you see Cancer. In July, it's Leo. And in August, is Virgo that is in charge. And I am really thankful to the Ed Meskins who has taken this photograph, and it belongs to him and has provided me it to use it for today's presentation. So actually, this is the widest known of the astronomical displays of the cathedrals, elaborate astronomical clocks. And this 14th century clock that you can see on the bottom picture is actually a calendar, a mechanically drawn stereographic projection which shows the movement of stars. And this adds to the elements of a rotating celestial sphere on which, you know, what are depicted? They are depicted about 1,000 stars that were given by Ptolemy. And then depictions of all the eclipses, which are over, depiction of all the eclipses which are over an interval of 32 years. There are a few linings you can see. These linings and the knots and crosses and 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30, they actually represent the eclipses and their count and the differences in their pattern and all. So again, this is a superposition of the belief that elements of the case and display were incorporated into the clock, and not only in the clock but also the architecture. So this is a perfect example of a geocentric model of astronomy. जब माना जाता था कि अर्थ इज इन द सेंटर ऑफ द यूनिवर्स, इट इज दैट टाइम। तो आप इसमें महसूस कर सकते हैं जियो सेंटर को। अगर आप थोड़ा सा एस्ट्रोनॉमी के जानकार हैं तो यू कैन रियली फील दैट इज हाउ द डे इट वाज, दैट हाउ इट वाज द डे that the geocentric astronomies were being followed. So I hope that this is clear to you. So now this is a continuation actually. The left, which you can see, is the heliocentric planetary dial of the third astronomical clock. I told you that there are actually 8 astronomical clocks over this entire cathedral. So this is one of the heliocentric planetary dial. Now, change, you can observe the change. One clock, this clock gives you geocentric model, and this clock gives you heliocentric model. Sun is in the center, not in the center of the solar system, but in the center of the universe. Still, we are talking about the case of universe. So the concern is that is we see in cathedral clocks, there are 14 sundials and there are very, very, very fine and minute details. So I just wanted to bring to your mind to the left hand corner, you can see one of those heliocentric, the first of the planetary dials. And the right upper corner, it is the astrolabe planetary dial of the second astronomical clock. Out of these 8, there are a few navigatory astrolabes also. Astrolabes have their got own significance in the sort of field of navigation. So this is to give you an idea that not only astronomy was taken as a hobby or a habit, but it became professional slowly and slowly as the time proceeded. And lower you can find that is someone who is observing. Actually, he is a deemed astrologer or astronomer. It is not clear, but yes, in the sundial towards the south portal of the cathedral. Now, this actually cathedral holds very much importance in the history. The reason is because this clock actually reflects the Copernican astronomical concept, and this represents the Ptolemaic concept. So this cathedral, Strasbourg Cathedral, is actually in itself a journey. जो स्ट्रासबर्ग का कैथेड्रल है, ये यात्रा है अपने आप में पृथ्वी के केंद्रित हमारे ब्रह्मांड के मॉडल से निकलकर सूर्य केंद्रित ब्रह्मांड मॉडल में. दैट इज इट इज ए जर्नी from earth centered universe to the sun centered universe. So that is why I thought it would be very much important if I include this in today's presentation. So now coming to this, one of the most important, that is the Struve geodetic arc. Now geodetic arc actually आज हम लोग एराटोस्थेनिस के एक्सपेरिमेंट भी पढ़ेंगे, दैट इज आल्सो जियोडेटी. सो एक्चुअली द रीजन इज जियोडेटिक का मतलब पृथ्वी की परिधि नापने का एक तरीका. दैट इज दिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट मेथड्स or instrumentations how to measure the circumference of the earth, and that is to know the size of the earth. So this is out of those 34 arcs that are being installed in different nations, from France to Norway to Germany and all. So this is the northernmost of the Struve's arc of a memorial obelisk in the Norway. Actually, there were different types of nodes that used to be the flag point of Europe once upon a time. But out of those 265 triangulation networks, 34 have survived right now. So a few of them lie in Norway, few in Sweden, few in Finland, Russia, Estonia, that is the erstwhile USSR. And once I visited in Belarus also, so and Ukraine. So what is the speciality? The speciality is they all have got a small hole that is drilled in the rock surface. आप ऊपर की जो पृथ्वी देख सकते हैं उसमें से एक चोंच निकली आपको दिख रही होगी. You can see some arrow pointing upwards. आप zoom in करिए, so that actually is a small hole that is drilled in the earth. They have got a cross-shaped engraved mark on the rock surface also. आप नीचे देखिए तो एक लाइन ऐसी दिख रही है, रॉक के ऊपर आप cross-shaped की engravings भी है. Then what actually it was used for? It was used for determining the shape and the size of the earth, which was a key problem for the philosophers ever since the 3rd century BC. So there were efforts going on and on and on towards more accuracy when they moved. So we defined this geodetic arc. So again, after medieval period, let's go back again to the age-old timing. So these are bone. ये actually हड्डियां ना समझें, don't consider them as the human bones. But yes, these are the bone. Hello. Kindly, I am requesting all the other speakers to kindly mute themselves because it seems to be interfering. So am I audible alone?
Yeah, you are perfectly good and you are
So,
good to go.
sure. Okay, so now moving to the next one. The size bone which you see, actually it is not a bone, but the stones have been carved in the form of a bone. The left top picture, you see this is the main face. The top right, it is the reverse of the same bone. Third picture, that is the bottom left, you see it is a line that is drawing of the front face of the thigh bone. That is when you can see that it has been almost been photocopied by the experts, and then you see different linings, and then on the right it has been calibrated into some sort of a model. Now what actually this model is? First bone we got some information, second bone the second that is second picture we scanned the reverse of the bone, third picture we made a drawing, and fourth picture we scaled the drawing. Now what it actually is, it contains actually short strokes, long strokes and all. So there are a few distinct sets that are visible, as you can see from the bottom right corner, and they are the lunisolar time reckoning model. So with the help of microscopic analysis, we have been able to see that they have been characterized by an arithmetical record of day by day lunar and solar observations. These are not simple linings, and they correspond, the number actually you can see it corresponds with the constellations, the average and the mean of the sky that has been separated by equinoxes, solstices and all. So I would again like to implore the fact that equinoxes and solstices, they were you can say matter being taken up by the ancestors matters being taken up by the ancestors dating back to a few hundred and thousand years before Christ. So these markings, they appear to be actually the record of changing appearance of moon. That is the different phases of moon on the upward line, that is the C and D. If you zoom in from the bottom corner, it is the changing phase of the moon, the waning moon, the waxing moon and all. So this is an important feature. It is because it talks to you exclusively how our ancestors used to keep a track of moon. हमारे पूर्वजों ने चंद्रमा को किस तरीके से ऑब्जर्व किया, उसको देखने का एक बहुत ही नायाब तरीका है आपकी थाई बोन्स ऑफ फ्रांस. Again, this is again going to further back into the history. So these are the plates of Germany, Gebronkel, and they have been called as the decorated because these are the ivory plates found at the Stuttgart, and they have been placed in the ruins of the Bruchfels rock. And if anybody is from Germany, so you can see it now. Right corner, what you see, rightward picture, you see there are a few lines. And when the expert actually counted these lines, do you know how many lines are there? There are 18 lines, 88 lines. So 88 referring to the constellations. And the way in which they have been drawn over the back, there are a few figures which represent our Big Dipper and Orion and all. So it means that these actually are the observations of the constellations. So people knew how many constellations were there, 88 in number. And so this is how the different dominions, they use their knowledge. And do you know how old is this? it goes to the upper Paleolithic era of archaeology, and it coincides with the number of days, that is in 3 lunations. But also, you can see towards the left, it is the Orion, that is the photograph of the Orion or the picture of Orion that has been engraved in one of the plates as a hunter. And Betelgeuse or Alpha Orion has been given a more prominence in that arm of the hunter. So these factors, they can be taken into isolation. That is, Orion was perhaps, and Pleiades again was perhaps one of the most popular observational things in the night sky for the ancestors ranging, so hailing from that area of Germany. Now, it would be partial from me if I do not traverse the African continent, because last time also I went to all the continents except Africa. तो बिना अफ्रीका गए हमारी यात्रा पूरी नहीं होती, बिकॉज यूरोप ने हिंदुस्तान का जो दरवाजा खोला था, दैट वाज आल्सो टू अफ्रीका, द केप ऑफ गुड होप. सो नॉट द केप ऑफ रियली गुड होप, बट समवेयर नियर द डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक ऑफ कॉन्गो, which was previously known as Zaire. So there are a few bones. Actually, these are the real bones on which the markings and the engravings have been done. On the right side, you can see the scientific scaling over which the markings have been placed, and the sequence of notches that have been interpreted in the terms of lunar time reckoning. Again, these bones, actually, they were designed as a tool for making incisions, but when we analyze them, numerological properties also have led to the calculation of a few specific terminology in which the engravings were being done. Now, I would like to bring to you that if you see of these columns, as far as they are concerned, they contains odd number of notches, that is 9, 11, 13, 19, 20. And so actually they have got their own astronomical significances, but at the same time, they have also got the mathematical significance also. That is, odd numbers are there, a bone which contains the even number, only even numbers are there. And according to this, it has been suggested by the researchers from the archaeoastronomy that this observable, that actually these bones were also used for the time reckoning, following the observable course of moon over a period of about, you can say, 5.5 synodic months. That is the lunar phase cycle I am talking about, based on a period of a double lunation of 59 to 60 days. So this is not a random approach. It is a pure scientific approach. ये एक परफेक्ट वैज्ञानिक अप्रोच है, जिसमें आप लूनर फेज साइकिल को देख रहे हैं, लूनर साइनोडिक मंथ के हिसाब से, 5.5 लूनर साइनोडिक मंथ्स के हिसाब से, 5.5 मंथ्स के हिसाब से आप ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं, और न केवल ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं बल्कि उसको एक गणितीय सूत्र भी प्रदान कर रहे हैं. तो यहाँ पे सूत्रों की संख्या आती है कि नंबर, दे आर एक्सपेंडिंग द नंबर सिस्टम, odd number, even number, and if you have got a semi, that is, they are expanding into rational numbers or fractions also. So it is an expansion of mathematics as well as astronomy. So it needs to be taken care of. Now again, this is an extension of the thigh bone of France, which is actually found in different area. जो मैंने आपको पिछली thigh bones दिखाई थी, उनमें और इनमें काफी फर्क है. These are actually 7 stone entars of the distinctive forms of a megalithic tomb. आपको याद होगा, if you remember Udayagiri, Brahmagiri, last time that I had talked about Karnataka, they are the megalithic tombs. So on a similar manner, these are also megalithic tombs, and as a matter of fact, if you count, they always come to 7. And there are 12 megalithic tombs of these sides on a particular area. And that are being separated by about 352 divisions. Or if you have gone through the Hindu Panchang, it consists of 352 days. It is a lunisolar calendar. So 352 spacings, 352 spacings are there. 7 groups separated in a row of 12 manner. So it means the calendar they were using, yes, they were using the calendar, and it was a lunisolar calendar, 352 days. And also not to forget the days of a week. Why only 7? Why not 8? Why not 9? Why not 6? It is 7. It means they were using some sort of a system, that is on the basis. And then 12 rows. It means they were dividing the entire epoch of time into this months and all. So everything that we say dates back to quite ages. And you can see on the bottom picture, it is the orientation histogram of these antennas that were being obtained by a few scientists. And it suggests that this is the oldest group of monuments which is a which is non-controversial proof that astronomy dates back to ages. And so this the fitness, the degrees of the orientation, the way in which we can observe equinoxes. We can observe the equinoxes with the help of the sunlight falling over them, not the solstices. So they are equinox pertinent. So only on them the equinoctial study began proofing. And you can see the solstice sunrises. So they range between the solstice sunrises. On the equinox, the histogram is the highest. So this actually was a small interpretation of ice bones from the previous that was related, that those bones, they were related actually to what? They were related to the solstices, and these bones are related to equinoxes. So even you can say area division was there. Our ancestors divided the stream of study. You study equinox, I will study the solstice. So specializations are not so young. They date back to the olden times also. Now, this is a very important fact in Oman. So Oman has got a, you can say, irrigational facility, which is an intangible heritage, which cannot be moved. And this traditional system of this Oman, it had got the different material attributes into sundials, stellar observations were done. There were observing points for the watching stars and all. So if you see the top left, it is actually a sundial of, if I remember from my notes, it is Karya Beni of Shub of Oman. So a sundial is there. The down picture you can see, it is a horizon for watching the stars. And between the, when you see the rightward picture, these are actually the pictures that have been made by the modern day researchers, that is of the stars. They were actually being observed by the people from the bottommost corner. So not only they served for irrigation, actually these pillars which you are showing, they are hydraulic, they have got a hydraulic mechanism. And apart from the hydraulic mechanism, that is a water supply, underground water supply, they also serve as sundial, stellar observation of observatories. And you can see that they are observing the stars of Vega, Alpha Lyrae, Deneb, Alpha Cygni and all. So this is a very peculiar example. And so that is the water share is also being divided by the stars. You can see there are red lines. So according to the constellation, that is the share of water is also being divided by the people. Now, this is a, you can say, a more descriptive manner in which you can see the observational points also of the sundial. The upper one is a sundial of Barzaman, and it comprises of a pole. The lines you can see that are being scored in the ground, and the walls of the adjacent buildings, they were being used for the observational sites and personal markers for the people. That is, yes, this is the altitude and all. And so below picture that you are seeing, it consists of a four-side wall. They are actually two walls from a masjid, and these walls are a mosque. So these walls, they were used as the observing points for the stones in ground, and the steps of mosque that are there, they are, if you stand on one step of the mosque, you will see to a certain height. If you climb to the second step or the third step, the height and all varies. It is actually natural, but the line of sight also, because these steps, they are actually in turning manner. So these are, you can say, way ahead of time. You can compare them to the scientific Jantar Mantar of our Jaipur, Delhi, and that is the Varanasi, Ujjain, and the last one of Mathura. So this is a scientific explanation. Now, this again is from that Oman only. Upper one is the real sundial of Al Fatah. It again, it comprises of the pole which you can see, and then there are a few lines that have been graved in the ground, and then below is again for the stars. That is the top of the walls, they are being used. The mosques, buildings, and towers, they have been made numerous observational points for the four sides. And the names of the stars, that is Botean, Takila, Mihab, you can see Nisr, Mansa, Kubi. These are all the name of the stars in Arabic, and they have been engraved over the markings that you observe such sort of a star on such a period of time from this area. If you move to the other area and you look according to the scientific functionality, you will be moving to another constellation, and accordingly, this is the most prominent of the stars. So they were observing Sirius, Arcturus, and all. So so you can say late goes the foundations of astronomy. Now, this is again one of the chronicles of astronomy, the baptistry of Parma, Italy. The left one is only for the purpose of educating you that what I am talking about. लेफ्ट वाली जो दाहिनी पिक्चर है वो केवल आपको समझाने के लिए कि बैप्टिस्ट्री दिखती कैसी है. एस्ट्रोनॉमी की जब बात करते हैं, नाउ व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट एस्ट्रोनॉमी, कम टू द राइट पिक्चर, आप दाईं तरफ आए तो यू कैन सी, आप ऊपर जाइए, जस्ट लुक अपवर्ड्स, देयर आर 3 zodiac signs again, Aries, Taurus and Gemini. Now see again the observational facts. You can see the hints of the observation in the prehistoric times, and these are the ground plans of the baptistry. And then there are a few points which you can see illuminated, the sunlight falling on the baptist, and solstitial directions are indicated by the numeral elements that are found in the sector. If you see the side plan of the baptistry, and then they were statues, they were differently placed, and you can see the sunlight falling on the baptism of the Christ. And this sunlight, you know, it falls only and only when you are close to equinoxes. So this is very, very important for the equinoctial sightings. Same goes with the Pantheon of Rome in Italy. It is one of the best preserved buildings of the Roman period, and it acts like a giant sundial. And you can see how the people, they observe the solar that is sighting on the 21st of April near equinoxes and all. So now coming to one of the two important sites without which the presentation of the day would be incomplete, the Nuremberg Castle of Germany. And you can see the first picture is the famous scientist Emirates Observatory, and the second is the instruments that they were used. And you know, today we are talking about planetarium, but planetarium in Germany, you can see the instruments, the artistic representation of the instruments, how the planetarium used to be in the Renaissance era. And these are very, very, you can say, sophisticated instruments. They are not the crude instruments that we are talking about in this manner. These include trident. They include circle instruments like semicircle, azimuthal circle, quadrants are there, sextants are there, octants are there, telescopes of 10, 12, and you can say even 16 feet are there, which are mounted on a pillar. And there are specific instruments for observing the sun. Clocks are there in the observatory. And so it is a perfect planetarium. And Cassini, Giovanni Domenico Cassini, once made a remark that Nuremberg is the best place for studying astronomy in the whole Germany. So it coincides, it is supposed that Cassini also came here and studied. So here you can see upward from this Nuremberg observatory only the Copernican planetarium. So this is the Copernicus model of the planet, of the society and the universe. And below there are the astronomical illustrations of Moon, Saturn, and the Venus face and all that were made by Maria Clara and the other scientists. The names are visible in this presentation. And now again, these are a few, that is the observational instruments of the observatory. And in this quadrant, you can see the real-time quadrant in the left upward picture is the real photograph of the quadrant that was used that time. And now you can see this is the second, again, an important place, Uraniborg and Stjärnbergen of Sweden. And the photograph which you can see is the famous Tycho Brahe. And under the sponsorship of the King Frederick, Tycho Brahe built this observatory of Uraniborg and did most of the astronomical observations from this. And they, with the help of instruments like quadrant, triqueterium, armillary sphere and all. Then before the advent of telescope, and in the pre-telescope era, Tycho Brahe was one of the most important of the observers of the science that ever had. And you can see the quadrant, the Tycho Brahe observing from one of the famous book of astronomy, that is Instancia Mechanica, that was published in 1600, I suppose. I am forgetting the year. And these are again the sextants and all. And then these are the Uraniborg observatory models that are available in the Munich Museum with the armillary sphere and sextant. So it is useless to talk about the Tycho Brahe's exploits with the astronomy, as we are all very much aware of the exploits of Tycho Brahe. And so now coming to this, with the end, I am making two important things without which the observation would be incomplete. That is the Lilienthal Observatory of Germany. I was always fascinated by the heavy telescopes. And so this is a unique place of telescope construction and research. And perhaps the largest of the telescopes which were comparable with those used by William Herschel and all They were available in the Lilienthal Observatory of Germany. And you can see from this, it is a replica of Schroter's reflector telescope of, do you know how much it was? 27-foot reflecting telescope. And these are the different models at the different period of time you can see from the observatories. And so they were used for the deep sky observation. And from there, the people used to observe the Magellanic clouds, the Messier objects and all. And so till 1794, this was one of the most prominent features of the Germany to being observed. And last but not least, coming to Point Venus, French Polynesia. And as we all know, Point Venus, so it has something to do with Venus. And the picture that I am, this actually the picture that is being shown, you know whose picture is this? This is the picture of the famous Captain James Cook. And this actually is a point that accidentally James Cook went upon, and he observed the transit of Venus on June 3rd, 1769. Sumit Srivastava sir is more, you can say, better authority to explain about the Venus transit, Mercury transit and all. But this is one of the most, you can say, iconic things that were being observed, and every astronomer has got this date by heart, June 3rd, 1769, to celebrate the observation of Venus from the Point Venus. Actually, it is island of Tahiti, and so there is no monument right now, but actually there are places from which you can find how they were being observed. So on the rightwards, there are the sketches of Captain Cook and Captain Green from the observation that were in the issue of the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. And you know, in the beginning, the Royal Society despised them. That is, they said that it was entirely waste of time and it has nothing to do with it. And they were almost being thrown into the dustbin. But later on, when that is observations were deemed failure by the Royal Society, later on the Thomas Hornsby, the famous scientist from whose chronicles I have taken the 1771 issue of the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. So they observed the solar parallax, and from there you can see the black drop effect, and everything was being observed, and they were being put to effect that from this calculation of 1769, you know what happened? The mean distance of Earth from the Sun, it was measured, say roughly 93,700, sorry, 93,007,300, 93,730,000 English miles, which is very, very close to the modern day of astronomical unit. So with the crude observation of Captain Cook and Captain Green, today we owe the modern definition. So with this, I have just culminated with the normal presentation, and I have just want to include for your 5 to you can say about 10 precious minutes of yours, because Vigyan Prasar, the central government body dedicated to the development of the culture of science and technology, has taken it as a effort to demonstrate the Eratosthenes experiment tomorrow on 13th of May. The reason being, on 13th of May, the core body Pune, it has got a zero shadow day. कल जो है पुणे में हमारा जीरो शैडो डे होगा, तो इरातोस्थेनिस के एक्सपेरिमेंट से अर्थ के साइज को एस्टिमेट करने का एक तरीका जो है हमारे विज्ञान प्रसार ने पैरालैक्स और अन्य चीजों के माध्यम से डिवाइस किया है, और एक छोटा सा रिवीजन है और मैं आप लोगों के सामने वो चीज रखना चाहूंगा. तो एक्चुअली एज आई हैव ऑलरेडी सेड that yes, the history of geodesy has been very old. People since long, they have been trying to portray as a matter of fact the different streams or the different methods from which we can determine the circumference of the earth. And there Aristotle, the topmost picture, came into the mind, and then Eratosthenes, and then yes, Aryabhatta also tried to give his own rendition, and Posidonius, not to forget. So these are the 4, or you can say 4 or 5 people, and not to forget Claudius Ptolemy in his compendium. So they were actually very near to this real calculation of the diameter of the earth, or say in fact the radius of the earth. And the most accurate observation was being done by Aryabhatta with his own observations and Al-Biruni. So these are again, that is Abu Rehan Al-Biruni and Khalif Al-Mamun and all. They were trying to give their own renditions or own methods from different things on which the accuracy of the size of the earth could be done. So there were different methods, though the method of Aryabhatta was more precise, or even parallax method is more precise. But as a matter of fact, one of the easiest available methods that we can do with ease is the method of Eratosthenes. And if you take due precautions, yes, you will get very close to the normal radius of Earth. आप सोचिए कि एक छोटी सी लकड़ी के माध्यम से एक छोटी सी लकड़ी लीजिए, एक पैमाना लीजिए और एक ग्राफ पेपर लीजिए. टेक ए स्टिक, टेक ए स्केल, टेक ए ग्राफ पेपर, और नो नीड ऑफ ए ग्राफ पेपर ऑल्सो, मेजरिंग स्केल और एक स्टैंड, और आप नाप सकते हैं कि आप जिस धरती पर रह रहे हैं उसका व्यास कितना है. यू कैन मेजर the radius of the earth, or in fact the diameter of the earth, and thereon you can go on to calculate the circumference of the earth. तो एक ये छोटा सा एक्सपेरिमेंट है, और हम चाहेंगे कि जो महायज्ञ विज्ञान प्रसार और हमारे पुणे के मित्र कर रहे हैं अपना जीरो शैडो डे के अवसर पर, उस महायज्ञ में एक छोटी छोटी आहुतियां आप भी डालें, और अपने ऑब्जर्वेशंस को जो मैं 5 मिनट में अगले बताने वाला हूं, उन ऑब्जर्वेशंस को कृपया हमारे यूपैक के जो हमारे मेंटोर हैं सुमित कुमार श्रीवास्तव जी, उन तक व्यक्तिगत तौर पर, या फिर हमारे स्काई फाउंडेशन के आप जो हैं इस पर ईमेल जो admin@sky वाले मेल पर जो है आप मेल करिए, और आपके मेल जो है विज्ञान प्रसार तक पहुंचेंगे. योर मेल्स शैल रीच विज्ञान प्रसार, दैट वी शैल टेक एज ए श्योरिटी. So now again, moving forward, that after this so much description, what actually I want to say. So this is actually what I wanted to show to you. So this Eratosthenes was a very great mathematician, and he was, you can say, a very great scientist also. So he devised very simple methods. So that is Eratosthenes. You can see there are two places that are being mentioned. One is Syene on the right corner, and second one is Alexandria. So he knew, Eratosthenes was a great observationalist. So he knew that sun was directly overhead in Syene on a particular day, and because the shadow, उन्होंने एक जो है वेल से अपने नीचे झांक करके देखा, तो उस वेल में जो है उनको जो है बॉटम में कोई शैडो नजर नहीं आ रही थी. एंड ही मेड इट क्लियर, एक साल में ऐसा दिन आता है कि जब जो है कोई भी शैडो नजर नहीं आती. एंड ही ऑल्सो न्यू that even on the summer solstice in his home city, वो Alexandria के रहने वाले थे. Alexandria was his home city, which is further norther than Syene. Sun will never be directly overhead. Actually Alexandria जो है it is above the Tropic of Cancer. So Tropic of Cancer के ऊपर जो है आपको कभी भी जो हमारी कर्क रेखा है उसके ऊपर जो है आपको कभी भी जो है जीरो शैडो डे नहीं मिलेगा. तो Alexandria में जो एंगल ऑफ एलिवेशन जैसा कि आप इसमें देख सकते हैं, तो इट वाज से अबाउट 83 डिग्री और 7 डिग्री साउथ ऑफ द जेनिथ ऑन 21st ऑफ जून. तो ये 21 जून को उनका ऑब्जर्वेशन था, लेकिन जगहों के हिसाब से चीजें बदलती हैं. तो हमारा ऑब्जर्वेशन जो है वो 13 मई के लिए है. तो फर्स्ट एजम्पशन जो हमारे इरातोस्थेनिस साहब ने लिया, तो ही एक्चुअली टुक अर्थ एज ए परफेक्ट स्फीयर. एंड देन सेकेंडली, आप जैसा कि फिगर में देख सकते हैं, रेज ऑफ द सन कमिंग एज ए पैरेलल थिंग. नाउ व्हाट एक्चुअली ही ऑब्जर्व्ड वाज, अगेन आई एम रिपीटिंग, एट द लोकल नून, जब दोपहर का हर जगह का नून का टाइम अलग अलग होता है, वो मैं भी आपको बताऊंगा कि हाउ टू सी द लोकल नून. समर सॉल्स्टिस वाले दिन, जिस दिन सबसे लंबा दिन होता है, सबसे छोटी रात होती है, सन्स रेज वेंट डायरेक्टली डाउन द वेल, व्हिच मींस Syene where he was perfectly lined up with those parallel rays. So no shadow appeared on the wall. अगर कोई चीज पैरेलल है, आपके बिल्कुल सर के ऊपर से पड़ रही है, तो आपकी छाया नजर नहीं आएगी. एक सिंपल सा फैक्ट उन्होंने यूज किया. He was utilizing this simple fact, and so he just moved, and he just also remembered Alexandria, his hometown. So what actually Eratosthenes did was, the angle of the stick's shadow, he stuck one of the sticks in Alexandria, and angle of the stick shadow in Alexandria he measured. उन्होंने उस एंगल को मेजर किया जो कि 7 डिग्री उन दोनों के बीच में निकला. And so corresponding angle, he knew that the distance from Alexandria to Syene on the spherical earth was an arc of circumference, which means that is the two towns created a central angle at the earth center, which we suppose we can call it as a matter of fact theta, and that made the line from the earth's inaccessible center C to Alexandria a transversal of the sun's parallel rays. आप जो है मतलब एक छोटा सा सरकमफरेंस जो कि लिया जाता है, तो वन कंप्लीट ट्रिप जो है 360 डिग्री का पूरी ट्रिप होती है. लेकिन अलेक्जेंड्रिया और साइन के बीच में जो एंगल हमारा बन रहा है वो 7.2 डिग्री, जिसको रफली हम लोग 7 डिग्री कह सकते हैं. तो आप अगर सिंपल आपने 8th क्लास की 9th क्लास की मैथमेटिक्स अगर आपने यूज करी, तो देन यू कैन वेरी वेल सी द फॉर्मूला दैट आई हैव रिटन, distance between Sine and Alexandria divided by circumference of the earth equals to in the terms of degrees. It is a simple formula of the calculation of, you can say, class 9th. So this actually was that appeared. So what now Eratosthenes did was, he did the measurement and found out that the angle was 7.2 degree. And so that angle is 1/50th of the complete circle. And then he used in his own methods of stadia. And when we converted stadia into all the normal methods, and also it came to roughly be around 40,075 kilometers, the circumference of the earth, or 25,000 miles in average. So he was off the real calculation by only 125 kilometer or 101 mile. एक छोटा सा छाया को ऑब्जर्व करके हमारे इरातोस्थेनिस ने जो आंसर निकाला, वो केवल असल मेजरमेंट जो कि हम साइंटिफिक सैटेलाइट से निकालते हैं, अन्य तरीकों से निकालते हैं, उससे केवल 125 किलोमीटर का उसमें फर्क था, या 101 मील का. तो आप सोच सकते हो कि ये कितना प्रिसाइज मेजरमेंट है. अब आपको जो करना है वो ये है कि नाउ यू कैन सी sun is actually not overhead on every day at noon, and we have an apparent northward and southward motion, which has really already been talked about. So the shadow of the sun is guide to the exact angular momentum. And so actually I was being obstructed by some of these sounds, so I would continue. So zero shadow day can be observed from any location in the tropical region, and the shadow appears to be exactly under the object 2 times a year. आप साल में जो है 2 बार जो है देख सकते हैं, और इसमें कुछ मार्किंग है. जेनिथ, आप अपनी फिगर में देखिए, जो जेनिथ का जो मार्किंग है आपके पर्टिकुलर लैटिट्यूड और लॉन्जिट्यूड पर, सूरज जो है, अगर आप ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैंसर और ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैप्रिकॉर्न के बीच में हैं, तो साल में 2 बार आपको जो है सूरज आपके एग्जैक्ट जो है सर के ऊपर नजर आएगा. तो ये कैलकुलेशन जो है वो था, जो उसको मैंने जूम इन किया है कि सन को पैरेलल माना गया, और पैरेलल मान करके जो साइन वाली आप रे देख सकते हैं, जो नीचे वाली रे है, द बॉटम रे, इट एग्जैक्टली रीचेस, and at the Alexandria ray there is some reflectance, and so that angle actually is made as 7 degree. And this distance was calculated from Sine to Alexandria as 5,000 stadia, and then 1/50th of the circle is 7 degree from 360 degrees location and all. So a complete circle will mean how many stadia, and that has been converted into kilometers. So this actually was the calculation that was being done by our Eratosthenes. So this is another calculation. Now what you have to do is, number one, first of all, you have to see whether 0 day shadow day is there in your place or not. So it is, you can say, you can use the mathematics also, but to avoid any complex mathematics, what we can really do is, we can use this Zero Shadow Day app also over the Google platform that is available. It will save your time. You just have to input your latitude and longitude. आप अपनी अक्षांश डालिए और आपको पता लग जाएगा कि जीरो शैडो डे आपके यहाँ कब है. आप ZSS फाइंडर पे जाएंगे और क्लिक करेंगे तो आपको पता लग जाएगा. लेकिन अगर नहीं है तो आपको शॉर्टेस्ट शैडो डे, आपके यहाँ सबसे कम शैडो कब होने वाली है, तो वो भी आपको जो है पता लग जाएगा. इसके बाद नाउ सेकेंड थिंग दैट यू हैव टू सी इज द लोकल नून. 12 बजे we have got a, you can say, some preconception in our mind that is 12 o'clock is the noon. No, 12 o'clock is not the real noon. That is 12 o'clock in India is the noon for the Shankargarh fort of Prayagraj, that is Allahabad, erstwhile Allahabad and modern day Prayagraj. प्रयागराज में जो शंकरगढ़ की जो ऑब्जर्वेटरी है वहां पर जो है 12 बजे का नून होता है. इफ यू आर टुवर्ड्स द ईस्ट, अगर आप ईस्ट ऑफ प्रयागराज में हैं, योर नून इज बिफोर 12 o'clock. If you are towards the west of Prayagraj, it is after the 12 o'clock. So you have to find out where your actual local noon is, and local noon shifts as per the equation of time. And to find out local noon, again, you have got equations. There are complex equations, but to sort out your things or to save your time, there is a website that I have mentioned, timeanddate.com, astronomy/India, and there you will be able to find your exact local noon. And then this is the thing that we are doing. So 13th May is the zero shadow day for Pune and all those cities that are on that latitude of Pune. And apart from that, for the places that are north of Pune, sun will be towards the south of the zenith, and towards the south of Pune, sun will be towards the north of the zenith. So barring the Vipnet Club, no need to worry about that statement. Individuals are also welcome. That is the latitudes and the longitudes. What you have to provide is, that is from where you have done the observation. And the second one is how you have done the observation and what you have been doing. So this is how that you can find out the location of your place over the Android app. There is an app known as the GPS test. आप घर के बाहर जाइए and it works in the open only. घर के अंदर काम नहीं करेगा. एक नीचे जो है लाल एक circle, I have drawn a red circle, and there is a green. You can see the world map that is available. Now, if you click over or put your hand over that world map, and in the end, what you will observe is the local latitude and the longitude for your place. And then this is the simple setup that you have to do. आपको एक you can see on the left there is a gnomon. Gnomon means एक आपको लकड़ी हमने खड़ी कर रखी है. तो 11 बजे के करीब around 11 o'clock you have to begin the observation. और जैसे जैसे आपने ग्राफ पेपर या नहीं भी ग्राफ पेपर हो तो एक जगह पे आपको बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट 90 डिग्री के एंगल पर जमीन से आपको जो है अपनी ऑब्जर्वेशनल साइट लकड़ी जो है आपको रखनी है या रॉड रखनी है, कुछ भी रखना है. और उसके सेंटर से, मतलब अगर रॉड का कुछ रेडियस है, then from the approximately around the center of the rod you have to take measurements for the sky, measurements for the shadow. आपको छाया का measurement लेना है. And then the calculation is simple. This is that alpha that you are going by hypotenuse, base upon perpendicular that we have studied in 9th and 10th classes. And the thing that you have to take care of is that is your stick that you are using. It should be about 40 centimeter to 50 centimeter. And then you have to do the measurements. That alpha, ये जो अल्फा यहाँ पे है, that is same 7 degree angle for sine. It will differ in comparison to पुणे. पुणे से जब आप उसके हिसाब से देखेंगे तो एक अल्फा कैलकुलेशन जो आपका आएगा वो पुणे से अलग होगा. So you are giving angle for your place and that will be calibrated with the differences from Pune, and in the end what you will get the circumference of the earth. So these can be submitted. The local noon for Pune tomorrow is 12:31. तो आपको ऑब्जर्वेशन बिगिन करना है 11 बजे से, फ्रॉम 11 o'clock and till 12:35 at least you have to do it. From 11 to 12 you can do your observations at a separation of 10 minutes each. But after 12 o'clock when you approach your local noon, जैसे जैसे आप नून के पास आएंगे आपकी शैडो कम होती चली जाएगी, और नून के बाद अपनी लोकल नून के बाद आपकी शैडो फिर से बढ़ने लगेगी. इट विल बी कर्वीलिनियर इन नेचर, डिक्रीजिंग कर्व एंड देन इंक्रीजिंग कर्व. तो आपको जो है वो लाइंस ड्रॉ करनी है और उससे जो है आपको मेजरमेंट करके बनाना है कि कितने बजे कितनी शैडो थी. 11 to 12 you have to take the measurements at separated by a time interval of 10 minutes, and from 12 o'clock to your local noon until 12:35 what you have to do is, it is better if you can space your observations by 1 minute, or it is again if not possible then at least you can space your observations by 2 minutes or 5 minutes. But as you approach your local noon, जब आपकी लोकल नून होती है तो हमारी प्रार्थना है, we request you to take your observation spacing it by 1 minute at least, for you can say for 4 or 5 minutes. It will be well and good. And so this is actually that calculative part that I was talking about, and this formula was explained to you by our speaker of the day yesterday, Mr. Anurag Tiwari ji. And I hope that you have liked the presentation from Ignited Minds. And thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity in which we did the traversal of the history from prehistoric times to the Renaissance era, and we discussed a short experimentation on the basis of all these things. Thank you, and over to you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Vajpayee, for such a wonderful talk. It looks like we have few questions in the chat box, but before that, I would like to take up several questions which our audiences have mailed at us. So, are you ready, sir? Hello?
Green signal from me. Green signal from me.
Okay. So the first question is, can you throw some light on Mariner's astrolabe and planisphere? This is the question of Bhushan Kumar from Midnapur. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot. So Mariner's astrolabe and planisphere that you have asked. Yeah, these are the two instruments actually. And Mariner's astrolabe you can see as Portuguese astrolabe is another name for Mariner's astrolabe, and it was a navigation tool that was actually being used for taking the altitude of the sun or the stars. And what does this Mariner's astrolabe does is, it measures, if I am not wrong, the height of the sun or a star that is above the horizon, and it can be used with the star and the planetary charts, and observer can easily find the latitude. So it is very good for the sailors. Now the second part which you have asked is the planisphere. So planisphere actually I remember is, yes, it is a star chart. analog in modern day we have the analog computing instruments, and so sorry, digital computing instruments are there. So previously in the medieval times they used the planisphere. It was an analog chart which had two adjustable discs that were on a common pivot. आप सोचिए कि there are two discs and there is a pivot and they could rotate over each other, and they were adjusted to display the visibility of the stars for any time and date. So astrolabe is an instrument that is originating from Hellenistic astronomy. That is the predecessor for the planisphere. And planisphere is the one that is being used after this Copernican model of the that is this universe came out. So these are the explanations for these two things. Over to you, Shweta.
Okay, sir. Next question is, what actually is a sextant? How does it work? Rishabh Singh
Oh,
from Kanpur asked this question. Over to you, sir.
oh, okay, okay. So sextant, actually, I suppose that I have been talking of late for sextant for long. So sextant actually is a doubly refracting navigation instrument that is used to measure the angular distance between the visible objects. And the primary use it again, just like astrolabe, to measure the angle between the astronomical observation object and the horizon for celestial navigation. Over to you. And then yes, it gives you a position on the star chart, and not to forget nearby the longitude also.
Okay. SK Single from Kanpur wants to know what is the difference between atomic clock and astronomical clock? Over to you, sir.
Oh, again. So you want me to recite that definition that I had by hearted in class 11th. So that atomic clock is that cesium atomic clock, and according to that, if I remember from the memory, that it defines the 1 second as the time elapsed during 9,192,631 cycles of the radiation produced by the transition between two levels of cesium-133 atom. So one of the most precise clocks available in the world. Now, astronomical clock actually that is very difficult to explain without any image because I have but still I will try. It is a hour dial, HOUR. Hour dial rotated by 12 hours. It is compared to the dial of a common clock. Common clock has got a dial of 12 hours. Astronomical clock is the reading. It has got a dial of 12 plus 12. It is a little confusing, but as a matter of fact, the sidereal time is counted from the you can say upper culmination of the vernal point. Now this vernal point, again, it is the from the movement when the arm with the star point upwards. And one of the famous clocks is that is available is, you can say, is in Prague. Over to you, Shweta.
Next question is, what is the criteria for celestial sphere? SS Shekhar from Manipuri asked. Over to you, sir.
Okay, Manipuri or Manipur. So I suppose celestial sphere criteria he is asking, Shweta.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually in astronomy and navigation, we are always use this celestial sphere. So it is an abstract sphere. As a matter of fact, we can say we have got an arbitrary radius, large radius, and it is concentric to the Earth. So all the objects in the sky, they have been conceived as been projected upon this inner surface of the celestial sphere, which may be centered on Earth or the observer. So if it is centered on the observer, the half of the sphere, it will resemble a hemispherical screen over the observing location. And this celestial sphere, as a matter of fact, is a practical tool for spherical astronomy, for specifying the apparent positions of objects in the stars if the distance are irrelevant. And it is very useful for equatorial coordinate system. Sumit ji will explain tomorrow. Equatorial coordinate system at the celestial equator divides the celestial sphere into two halves, the northern and the southern celestial hemisphere. So this is an arbitrary abstract sphere that we use for the purpose of astronomical observation, where distance don't matter much. Over to you, Shweta.
Okay, sir. Last question that we got mailed from KP Singh of Revan, MP. Can you throw some light on sundial and Norman? Over to you, sir.
Okay. So you are asking me about sundial. So sundial actually is a device which tells you the time of a day when there is sunlight by the apparent position of the sun in the sky. And it consists of a flat plate and a new moon. No, gnomon actually is a part of a sundial that is casting a shadow. अभी मैंने आपको एक हल्के सी stick दिखाई, so that stick is a gnomon that will cast a shadow and you will note the reading of that shadow. And so it is used in variety of purposes for mathematics and other fields. So the style it is that sundial must be parallel to the axis of Earth rotation to be accurate throughout the year. And the perfect example of sundial, I suppose, is the Jantar Mantar. Over to you, Shweta.
Okay, sir. Let's have a look on chat box questions now. So the question is from Uttam Kumar Singh.
Okay.
What is one athar as you have pointed in one of your images?
Okay, so one other, it is an old measurement as far as I remember from the slides, which was one spacing between the two of that is the two of the lines that were being projected by the gnomon that was lifted. That is, for example, there are two gnomons on an observatory, and then the distance between the two is one athar. Over to you, Shweta.
Okay. He also wants to know. Please throw some light on SDO.
Okay, actually, SDO is you can say more of a technical talk, and but yes, somewhere down the line we shall take this as a topic when we are discussing this modern day astronomy. No need to worry. I am just bypassing the question for the sake because I am receiving the messages to kindly conclude the talk because they want to join Prime Minister also. So we don't worry, Uttamji. We shall take SDO as a topic later on in the upcoming astronomy delights, and your query shall be answered.
Okay, there were several more questions from Amar Pal Singh. He wants to know about the Neolithic calculators.
Okay, in the Neolithic age, actually, there were a few readings that were being taken regarding. They actually what they did was they took the zodiacal signs in the center of their observation, and on the basis of the zodiac, they used to divide the night sky into a perfect quadrant. That is a perfect period of time. That is between this interval and this interval, this zodiac is at this much height, and then this moves on. And then what they did was they used to see it from the point of the then pole star. And on the basis of the then pole star, they used to make the calculations for the entire year. So yes, I do have got a few more literature, and I shall send it to Sky Foundation, and then they shall provide it to you, Amarji.
Okay, he also wants to know how our ancient astronomers were able to do the successive observations with the assist of various archaeological sites by Stone Age, and how we can connect now with modern astronomy among all these things.
Okay,
Over to
okay,
you,
okay.
sir.
So actually, very beautiful question that you have asked. And so the first answer is that is successive observations. The only thing is perseverance. आपको थकना नहीं है. And the second one is the sightedness, the observational skills, the observations that you have to do. You have to be very vigilant because at that time there were no telescopes and all. So the only telescope that was available to us was our eyes. And then second one is a few presence of mind. That is how Eratosthenes used his presence of mind to calculate the circumference of the earth. So on a same pattern, that is Aryabhatta, he utilized you can say that solar eclipse to and the lunar eclipse and solar eclipse to prove that earth is not flat but earth is a sphere on the basis of the shadows. And also he used the lunar eclipse to find the circumference of the earth. And then there is a very rich tradition of Bhaskaracharya and all. And now you have mentioned Stonehenge and all. So Stonehenge people, these are a few things, that a few stones that have been carved out on a particular orientation. Now this orientation, how it happened, it is still a work of research. But yes, on a particular day, sun comes out from a particular angle, and that has been kept intact for the centuries and for millenniums now, with a very less variation of say half degree or so. So that science is still to be explored. But yes, with the most crudest of the methods, they were still able to connect to it. Now coming to the last part, how we can connect with the modern astronomy, they formed as the baseline. what I told you, that we observed all the things, but what we got? Do we simply enjoy it? No. They built up the foundation. From those foundation, I showed you the Renaissance era observatories, the cathedrals and all. So astrolabes came into existence, and then followed by sundials and planisphere and other telescopes then later on came. So they actually served as the baseline for the entire observation in the sense. And today, where we are, the right ascension, declination, and all the things, they have their roots into these astronomical observations only. Thanks, Amarji. Over to you, Shweta.
Okay. So last question for the day. Shubhan Raj wants to know how water clock works.
No,
Over
water
to you.
clock actually, yeah, water clock actually goes back to the Chinese origins and the Mesopotamians. And as a matter of fact, it was one of the indigenous practices. And in Oman also, it was exclusively being done. So if you consider the model of Oman, so what they did was, I told you that these walls of the towers, they were hydraulic. They had got some hydraulics in nature. So there was a tank that was being specified. And as a matter of fact, then when the water level went to a certain level, and the tower from which you are observing the star, it went down. By the time the constellation had moved, and the speed was adjusted such that particular time interval for a particular constellation is being adjusted by the movement of that rod. So by the time the certain portion, say one third or one fourth of the rod goes inside, it means it is the time enough for the constellation. In general, in Chinese tradition, what they did was, they put up a certain amount of water, and with that particular dripping droplets of water, they used to specify that sun has moved this from this area to this area in the over the horizon and towards this and this direction. So that is a very, you can say, complicated yet simple science, but if I go on to explain it, it will be very huge topic. So I am just making it short. So as a matter of fact, they were being utilized in the different civilizations, and yes, they used to divide the specific time intervals on the lunar factor, on stellar observation, as well as the observation of the sun.
Thank you
Over to
so
you,
much,
Shweta.
sir. Thank you so much, sir. You explained all the questions very beautifully. Now, I will invite Miss Harshita Srivastav, an active member of WLS, to deliver a vote of thanks speech to our presenter, Mr. Vajpayee, as well as the esteemed audiences. Over to you, Harshita.
Hello, hello again, everyone, and a very good evening to all of you. Amritanshu sir, thank you so much for your precious time, all this amazing knowledge tonight. This was one of the most interesting session of our astronomy series, and with the follow up queries, we can observe that. And thank you so much for solving it very easily, like the way you always do while you are conducting the session. And today it was the way you explained it was very easy and helpful. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to request everyone as citizen scientists to perform the experiment explained by sir and mail us uh, at our website and the email ID will be provided to you at the WhatsApp. At last, I'd like to thank each one of you for joining us tonight, and I'd also like to thank uh, sorry. I'd also like to invite you all to join us tonight and tomorrow as well, because tomorrow it is going to be our last interacting session. Plus, Uttam Kumar Singh wants us to arrange a meet on how astronomers used to observe space in ancient period. We look into the matter. Thank you, Amritanshu sir, Ray, and all the audience. Thank you.
Okay, so good night, everyone. Stay home, stay safe. Bye bye.